Should we fire Baby Joseph? I always lose. That's basically it.
Quick and painful this'll be.
Hello everybody and welcome to Weird Lines, where we are going to be talking about some strange lines of play in Gwent that end up winning the game, or perhaps not, depending on the reaction of the opponent. I am Veritable Overlord of the World Driftbling, and this is second-rate Kiki Queen player SemperEU. Okay, I'm just going to take the silence as a confirmation that he knows that Ferdinator is a better Kiki player than he is. So, we are going to be getting into this game. Semper was playing in a tournament. He was playing against the Lippy deck, and this is his round 3 hand. He had to use Corinthia in the previous round without using leader to survive against the bleed of Lippy. He's now a card up, but he has missed out on Karen in his mulligans, making his leader somewhat awkward as he can't just use it on Detlaf and get the 3 Karen consumed targets that way. So, what I would like to know from all of you fine people in chat is what you would try and think about doing in this situation. You do have a queen left, you do have leader, you have some options. Let us know in the comments right about now. Okay, so we'll be interested to see what you guys wrote in the comments. Semper, if you would like to talk about the line of play you chose.
So the line of play that I chose was a difficult one, but I noticed obviously the Ceres and I knew he was Lippy, so I actually decided to Ozrel his Ceres first play to stop the 8 more points of carryover going into his deck from the Royal Decree, and then I let the game go on for a little bit longer because I knew I had the Swarm, I knew I had the Queen, and I'm sure he was out of a stunning blow. So it allowed me to think of a line of play to lead the Ozrel to get the Thrive and the proc on the boost on the drones. It's the only line I could think of that would allow me to get maximum points, because if I did the Detlaf, I didn't have enough consumes.
So, one thing worth noting here, I don't remember if we already said, but have we seen 2 stunning blows yet?
I think that, to my recollection, I think we've seen both stunning blows.
Okay. I mean, eagle-eyed viewers will be able to see in the graveyard when you cycle through it if they were there. Although I suppose the other possibility... Well, nah, that's basically it. If they're in the graveyard, I can't really get access to them again, right? Unless he's running Burner, which I don't think he is.
He wasn't.
Yeah. So here's the Lippy. Obviously, having denied, the carry was great. So we were talking just before we started recording this video that there was one line we think the opponent could have done, potentially. And it's one thing, actually, there's an argument to do the Aussie play here, right? Because...
Yes, there was.
Instead of doing that, and to be fair, we don't know what the last card is, we think it's Decree. I assume it's Decree. If he Mortvargs Ozrel... The problem with Mortvarging Ozrel, though, is... I mean... If he's abandoned the Ceres line anyway... Because here's the thing, if Mortvarg comes down on Ozrel, you have no leader. But then, to be fair, the one thing that should be noted, he doesn't know you don't have Karen in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of hard for him to make that read realistically. So here we are.
So yeah, if he marks the Ozrel, even though it's a 6-point play, he 100% win that game.
Yep.
Because I only proc once rather than twice.
Yep. And so these 3-point drones are 2-point drones. You get the 1 Barghest proc, but what even is your leader going on? In that scenario, if I kind of cycle back a little bit, I don't know what the YouTube player is doing here, it looks a bit weird. But we cycle to here, if Mortvarg is dead instead of being able to be played in this back row, what are you actually doing? If this is a dead Mortvarg, and okay, the beast is higher, So you're, we take 1 point off, Beast goes back to what, 12? It's not enough considering, what, do you double Bargeist even? Like, do you Bargeist leader Bargeist? Probably have to, right? What else are you doing?
No, 'cause I think you just have to Bargeist and then just lead it at that laugh, but there's no other leader. I genuinely think that he misplayed that, which allowed me to find the win, because he obviously abandoned the Lippy line, the Ceres line.
Yeah, so if he's not, I mean, the Morvarg is always going to be more than, to be fair, bringing those shield mains back, right? Or I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. But the only thing that occurs to me is, I think it's maybe harsh to call it a misplay, but if he says to himself, okay, if Semper has Karen, I 100% of the time lose. If Semper's holding Karen as his last card instead of the Barghest, then I always lose. If he can think that far ahead, then maybe he can find the Mortvarg on Aussie line as being like, okay, this is the only thing. But to be fair, he also has to think of you doing that line in the first place, which is the whole point of the video, is this is a really abnormal line, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, that would be a frankly unbelievably good play from your opponent if they'd done that, I think. And that's genuinely really top level to do that. Because it's really, really hard to realise that that's your win condition. Especially because we're sitting, with the benefit of hindsight, being able to look over it and think about it slowly and carefully. Obviously, this is all on timer. It's an tournament scenario where you're under pressure. And because that's the other thing, it's a consideration, even though it shouldn't be, that if you do a weird line which you think is your only way of winning, and then it turns out, oh, my opponent had a really bad hand, I could have won if I'd played normally, then everyone laughs at you, right? And everyone's like, oh, you're an idiot, why don't you just play normally? And it is hard to explain that, even though you can argue that you're correct, in probability terms, it's more likely they have, a good gold and a bronze or whatever than having absolutely terrible cards and nothing left, and if I play what looks like a losing line, I win. That's a weird way to think about it. Yeah. But in any case, it's all interesting to think about. The probabilities of drawing cards in Gwent is something that Team Bandit Gang will be exploring further in the near future. Announcements to be made soon. Ooh. But with that being said, I have been Driftling. This has been my good friend Semper. And yeah, did you guys find this line? Is there a better line we haven't considered or talked about? Should we fire Baby Joses? Preferably out of a cannon. Let us know in the comments, and we will see you next time.